But as we know, the older you get, that metabolism slows down.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still eating the same way and still working out the same, but I started to gain some pounds. And what happened was the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the Clear in the Air podcast with D and Q.
I'm D.
And I'm Q. Listen, this one hits home. I feel like a lot of times they do. But for you in particular, this is more or less going to be kind of like me interviewing you.
Okay.
So, that being said and done, let's hop right into it. So, we want to talk about dieting and eating healthy. And what we don't want to do, we don't want to sit here and try to tell anybody how necessarily to eat. We're not nutritionists, not a dietitian. The only thing we can do is talk about what works for us and use kind of general principles that could probably help anybody, but we always are going to make it personal because no one can tell your story like how you do. So, that being said, I think it's pretty clear that the things that we eat can harm us. I know, and looking at, we did a podcast that said, hey, how has your 2022 been? Has it worked out the way you've wanted it to be? And I can tell you for sure that for me, shout out to you, looking at the way I eat, what I eat, when I eat, and how I eat, is something that I have been very conscious of. Okay? I've been intentional about looking at the back of labels. So what is it actually saying? Okay? Now I'll be honest with you. Probably like the majority of us. You don't know what that stuff says on the back. But just because you don't know in the moment doesn't mean you can't do the research and find out. Okay? This is a joke, but it may have some truth into it. The difference between you and a scientist is that a scientist consistently does research.
And now a lot of labels are trying to simplify it with the ingredients with stuff. Yeah.
So really taking the time to, I've picked up really doing some cooking during the pandemic. I call myself a pandemic chef.
Yeah.
Not saying everybody would love my food, just saying that my family eats. And
I've had it. It's good.
They don't just eat when my wife cooks. They eat when I cook as well. So that being said, it makes you say, what am I feeding my family? What am I feeding myself? And so you begin to look at things like, he knows I love to eat chips, but I'm really convicted a lot of times either when I eat them or if I eat them consistently. All right. So let's hop into this thing, right? We know that food is detrimental to a diet, or
can be.
Right. Food is the right food means everything to your diet. Okay? And again, not gonna tell you what to eat. This is not one of those things where you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that. But we're gonna talk to this man because one thing I've seen, so I've, trying to get some extra bucks. Holidays are coming around. So DoorDash. And you see what people order. And this is not saying this out of judgment. So if you eat certain things, it's not judgment. It's just realizing sometimes what you're eating, is it high in fat? Is it really greasy foods? What time are you eating certain things? And then we'll end up talking about fitness as well. But when you combine that as a situation, you say, okay, what are we eating? Sometimes, why are we eating it? Like, are you just eating it because it was in grandma's and your mom's recipe book, and you're just used to eating it? Is there some betrayal if you don't eat like how you grew up eating? You know, because I ultimately feel like we're responsible for our lives as adults. Men, it used to be that it wasn't a known thing for us to cook. Now it should be where there's no excuse for us not to be able to cook. Shouldn't just be our wives. But so I want to ask this question. I noticed over the past maybe 2 months or so that I don't even like to say diet. I like to say that you've made a lifestyle change. Can you talk to us about that lifestyle change that you made?
Yeah, so basically starting July 18th, which was a Monday. That Sunday, July 17th, was the last day it was a Sunday. I did Sunday Fun Day. I went to brunch. I had mimosas, had drinks, did the whole shebang. And that Monday, July 18th, I started what I called a diet and detox. And to where I didn't drink, and I ate a strict diet, mainly consisting of fruits, vegetables, salad, and some like seafood, some types of fish, salmon, things like that. And I challenged myself to do it through my birthday. It was going so well that I extended it through Labor Day. So it was 50 days. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I'm sure you probably gonna ask why or what made me. So I'll go ahead and give my. Okay.
Let me.
Go ahead.
Let me actually ask. This is an interview, sir.
Okay. Yes.
What made you want to go on this lifestyle change?
Okay. Several reasons. Well, two main reasons. The first reason was, if y'all don't know, I love to eat, and even though I'm not a big dude, I eat a lot. I can eat a lot. I take after my dad. All my family know that when I come around, guard the food because I'm going to eat it all. And I'm going to take plates home.
Lucky. Poetic justice. Lucky.
So I eat a lot. But I've always been this type of frame because I had a high metabolism and I'm very active. But as we know, the older you get, that metabolism slows down. So I was still eating the same way and still working out the same, but I started to gain some pounds. And what happened was the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, y'all remember at the beginning of the pandemic, you stocking up on the quarantine snacks because remember at the time, grocery stores didn't know, what kind of, how their deliveries was going to be. And so people were stocking up on snacks. So I literally was in the house all day just eating snacks. So I gained a lot of weight because the gyms weren't open. So I wasn't really working out. I couldn't work out like I wanted. We wasn't playing basketball. I wasn't lifting weights, doing cardio. And I'm not the type of person where, a lot of people would just run around their neighborhood or go outside. Me personally, I'm not that type of person. So I had put on some pounds. And I'm the type of person to where when I gain weight, now it's all coming stomach. You know what I mean? So I could still have this frame, but then I'll have a gut. So, which leads me to the second thing that happened. As y'all all know, I got a tonsillectomy done. And with that, I got that because I was showing signs of sleep apnea. So I had my tonsils removed, and the recovery period is brutal. It is horrific. And during that 2.5 weeks, all I was eating was popsicles and pudding, pretty much any soft food. But I lost a lot of weight. Surgery, I was 218. 2 weeks after when I left my parents' house, I was 196. So I literally lost 22 pounds in 2.5 weeks. And every morning I would gargle or attempt to gargle, and I would literally see the weight coming off my body. And so when I fully recovered, obviously I just wanted to eat because I missed food for that 2.5 weeks, like solid food, good tasting food. And so I just went overboard, y'all. I was pretty much being gluttonous, just eating everything in sight. I didn't have great eating habits anyway. I am single. I am a bachelor. So, I'm not eating as good as I should. I have increased my water intake now that I've gotten older. So, and I don't drink sodas. But I'm brunch king, so I'm going out to brunch, and my biggest thing, which is what I'm going to talk about, I was eating late. So even if I go to the gym, I'm coming home and eating at 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And I like sweets too. Your vice was chips. Mine is ice cream, cookies, chocolate chip cookies, pies. So I'm eating all that stuff and I'm eating late. So after that, I'm literally taking my shower, going to bed. So so that food is literally just sitting because I'm not being active. And then I'm staying up late. I'm not necessarily going to bed at a decent time. And so you just wake up, then, over the course of days and weeks, that stuff just starts to pocket. And again, with me, with that weight, it just goes right to my gut. Because of the gym, my arms got bigger, legs got bigger, this and that. So my body was still in shape, but just imagine me with this frame with a gut. So it's not a great look at all. And I started to notice that my shirts wasn't fitting like I wanted. My shorts, my jeans was getting a little tight in the waist. Some of my gym gear was fitting kind of tight, which is okay. But again, I got this gut, so it was not a great look. So besides putting on the extra pounds after my procedure, I finally was like, I need to make a change. So that's what I did. And I wanted to challenge myself and do it going into my birthday. Because I knew I would be focused, because I would want to reach a certain goal by a certain date. So that's what I just did. I decided to do it. I decided to do a month out for my birthday. And I did it.
Were there any challenges? And of course there are.
Yeah. The biggest thing was, and I'm not I've been fortunate in my life to where I've never really had to diet because I've had that high metabolism. And, we're very active.
Right.
So the biggest challenge for me was I wasn't sure that eating healthy would fill me up, would satisfy my appetite. So another big thing is you hear so much about eating healthy is expensive. So I knew that was going to be a difference. That was going to be an expense. So I was worried about that. I think those were the two biggest things, whether I was going to be full and the financial aspect of it. Again, doing the research. I'm huge on research, so researching. I'm going to stores that I typically don't go to. I'm going to Whole Foods. I'm going to Wegmans. I'm going to Trader Joe's. It's a place called Good Foods. So I'm going to places like that, and they don't serve the things that I normally.
What you're used to.
Yeah, what I'm used to eating. Oh, another thing is, and you talked about it too, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to prepare these different type of things.
Right.
You know, like you were saying, you know, back in the day, or the old way of thinking is, you know, your wife cooks or
Right.
or the lady cooks. But now, you know, guys, you have to, you know, I got to fend for self. So I was like, am I going to be able to have the skills and the knowledge to prepare these different new things that I'm challenging myself to eat? So I would say those were the three things that I had to, three challenges that I had to face.
Which all, when you, well, not all, but I would say discipline is something that you foresee yourself that being a challenge. The discipline to cook for yourself and not say, you know, it's easy to just go buy. The discipline to have to be intentional about going to these stores. The financial discipline that's involved with going to these different places and just saying, you know what, I'm going to do this every week. What has been the impact of the lifestyle change?
It's hard to explain, but you definitely feel it. You just feel healthy, like even like digestive wise, and that may be TMI, but it just feels like everything just feels cleaner. It feels smoother. It just feels more healthy, man. You just feel I have a lot better endurance on the court. I have to, you know, build that strength back up, that muscle mass back up, because I was strictly, you know, eating right and, you know, things like that. So definitely got to get my protein back up and my kind of my mass back up. But yeah, other than that, man, the biggest thing, it felt good to know that I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
The three challenges that I faced, it felt good knowing that I was able to tackle them head on and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know moving forward that I can do it.
That should be encouragement for all of us. Because again, in some of the podcast episodes that we've done, it's not about you necessarily being an expert, but a lot of times it's about taking action and effort. And when you do that, you know, we'd be surprised to see how that impacts our lives. So you can I asked you about the impact. Some of the negative impacts you have of us not making lifestyle changes in regarding to what we eat are health concerns. Obviously, he mentioned it, gaining weight, but then also not having the energy throughout the day, being sluggish, not being able to do what you once were able to do, again, because none of us are getting any younger.
And combine that with my sleep apnea issues.
Yep. Yep. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't seen that episode, please make sure if you snore, it's not saying that because you snore you have sleep apnea, but if you do, there's an increased risk that you may have sleep apnea. Go check out that episode. All right. So, I guess I'll say this because you have finished the quote-unquote diet. Have you and do you foresee yourself moving forward, continuing to do so? And what are those changes that you foresee yourself either making or being consistent with?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna incorporate it in my lifestyle. And this is just me personally, what I'm gonna do. I've decided to just kind of alternate days on how I'm gonna eat. So I may have a healthy day where I eat healthy all day. Then I may have I don't even want to say quote unquote cheat day,
right.
but you know, just a day where I just kind of, you know, just want to eat however I want to eat. You know what I mean? One major change I have made is pretty much every morning I'm going to start with fruit and vegetables. Right here, these love carrots. I have a vision story, but I'll tell that for another day. But they helped me with my vision when I was younger. So pretty much every morning I'm going to start with some grapes or apple or banana, some carrots, and drink some water. I have started incorporating some shakes, some smoothies and things into my diet. Thanks to you, my brother. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for me personally. I'm gonna continue to work out. I work out in the gym about 4 days a week, and I play ball about 2 days a week. So 6 days out the week, I am getting some type of physical activity. So that will continue. I'm gonna be continue to be consistent with that. Yeah, so that's gonna be the biggest thing for me, and I plan on keeping that up consistently.
So I'm smiling because it's making me think. I love when we end up talking about other podcast episodes because it's relatable. So y'all know, summer birthdays. Shout out to those with the summer birthdays.
Yes, sir.
August birthdays here. We went to New York, and you would imagine, because we talked about travel as well, one of the good things about travel is when you go somewhere else, the food. He remained disciplined. And again, accountability. A lot of the things, whenever you're talking about clearing the air, it should always be tied to accountability. Because you can have all the talks you want, but again, it's the action. And a lot of times we need accountability to help us with the actions we say we need to make. Well, what was dope is that where we stayed, fruit stand. I mean, it couldn't have been any better.
Right there on the corner.
And I'm not, my wife may have, strawberries or whatever with the eggs and the breakfast and different things like that. But we didn't have any of that. We had mangoes, blueberries, strawberries, bananas,
apples, grapes.
Yes.
The grapes. Man.
The grapes, yes, because we froze
the grapes. Yep.
Yeah. So, and we were good. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, we did buy it was a decent amount, but we were good, and we ate on it throughout the day as we were walking around New York City. So, and again, that accountability, because let me tell you what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to cause him to stumble or make it harder for him because I was just eating whatever. Now, granted, I do try to watch certain things, but I know he was, even some of the things that I might call as being healthy were things he still had to stay away from. Mm-hmm. And so I think even when you came up to the house and we shot multiple episodes, it was the same thing. So we were doing the fruit smoothies. Mm-hmm. Cool story, bro. We were walking in New York, and I said, you know what, let's try, because I know he had to eat a certain way, let's try to do a smoothie. Let's something like that. Man, the first time we went to the store, to this place, we found a place
in Bryant Park.
Right across from Bryant Park.
Yep.
I'm glad you said that because I was trying to remember where we were.
Yep.
But
Bryant Park on 41st,
yes.
on 42nd.
It was crazy at first, but a dope story and a nice way to kind of clear the air was that we went there at first, and their POS, their point of sale system, so they couldn't take credit cards. I think they could
shut down. It was shut down.
Yeah, so I think you could only do cash. I think
no, at the moment you couldn't.
Oh, you couldn't do
none
nothing.
of that. The first time we went, you couldn't do any of it. They had literally had to temporarily close.
Yeah, because the Wi-Fi was jammed.
The Wi-Fi, yes.
So they couldn't even open the register.
Right. Another thing, with Wi-Fi being your POS, if that Wi-Fi goes down, your whole system is shut down.
Yeah. So it was jammed up. So we said, okay, cool. We'll go to Whole Foods, which was across the street. Mm-hmm. Well, he needed to charge up his phone. That didn't work because there were no charges in there, and because of the pandemic,
covered them. Yes.
Because of the pandemic, they covered them because you just had people just sitting around, okay, not buying anything. All right, bet. So we say, you know what? Let's try it again.
Yeah, let's try the smoothie place one more again.
Like your girl Aaliyah said, if at first you don't succeed.
Yep.
Okay.
Try again.
Dust yourself off.
Rest
Try
in peace, baby girl.
Yes, sir. So we ended up going. We went. Man, we get in there, and it was a little slow, getting back up. It was up and running, but it was slow.
I remember they was taking cash only then.
It was cash only.
We had cash.
Yep. And then midway in,
Everything.
People were swiping cards, but we had already got what we wanted. Well,
and that line was getting out the door.
but we made it in before it got
made
crazy.
It in.
Well, the cool thing was this. Number one, the customer service was bananas.
Yes, shout out to them. What was the name of the place you remember?
I don't remember, but I'm going to
Okay.
put it in the description.
For sure.
Okay? So, customer service was great. And I'm talking about young,
Yes.
like young guys.
All young
Okay.
staff, all minorities too, right?
All minorities.
Yeah.
All minorities.
Yep. Even the managers were young.
Yep.
And they was running
Yep.
it.
And they were running it. I mean, we had one guy, he didn't talk. He was just, he
Yeah.
did the orders,
Yeah.
got him out, kept it moving.
And then the exact opposite guy, he was talking to everything, had the music turned up. He was New York to the bone. But his customer service was crazy.
A1.
Was
A1.
crazy.
A1. So, what was dope in this story is that he found something that he likes now. So, I can go to Tropical Smoothie. I like Tropical Smoothie. I'll go there at times, you know. It's a meal replacement, so to speak.
Right.
But it's like chocolate, peanut butter, bananas, dates. Couldn't eat them on their own, but in this, it's good. All right. He tried it, fell in love.
Yep.
Now it wasn't the tropical smoothie. Actually, Smoothie King is the one that does the dates in it.
Correct.
Tropical Smoothie does not have the dates in it. I
Correct.
like the dates in it though because dates are healthy.
Right.
Okay. So
Tropical Smoothie there are more locations. I feel like Smoothie King, it's not as many locations. So I've been more so going
Doing
with
Tropical
Tropical
Smoothie,
Smoothie.
right.
But they have something similar to it that I get with a shot of protein. So,
yeah. But just going back to this New York spot, it was just dope, and it was a small serving. I wish it had been the size of the tropical, like the serving size of the Tropical Smoothie, but it was what it was. It was good. We go back to New York.
For
We're
sure.
going back there.
For sure.
Okay, might get 2.
For sure. Oh yeah, we will now.
'Cause they were- yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
again, I want to say this as we clear the air. Stuff like this, New Year's resolutions, this is even a thing too with that. New Year's resolutions, whatever it is, try not to make it faddish. That's why it's diet. It's really a lifestyle change. When it's a lifestyle change, it's something
You
that
said
you can
faddish, right? Not
Yeah,
fat, not F-A-T. Fatted. F-A-D.
faddish, like
right.
a fad.
Fad, right.
So
okay.
don't allow it to be kind of like a fad or just like a trend.
Correct.
Okay. When it's that way, it's not gonna last long. When it's a lifestyle change, this is the way you operate now. So when it's a lifestyle change, you're more invested in it. Okay. You're more intentional about it. Okay. Again, not here to tell you what to eat. There is a guy that I've been paying attention to on Instagram, T-Walk the Hulk Fitness. Calls himself the Holistic God. Well, he's got an ebook that he put out. I've been paying attention to it about things you shouldn't eat, things you should eat. And he breaks it down from grains to drinks, vegetables, protein. He just breaks it down. Fruits, all of that stuff. And you'd be surprised. But shout out to David Shands for having my man T-Walk the Hulk Fitness on his podcast. Shout out to David Shands just because he really has put us up on game on the whole podcast game. So that's that. Lastly, again, that accountability. Get you someone to hold you accountable for the goals that you set. Whether they're New Year's resolutions, whether they're whatever. So then that way, when you get to that last quarter of the year, you can say, you know what? This lifestyle change I made, this is the impact that it's had on my health. Okay? And as men, what are we feeding our families? Okay? How are we changing the generational health concerns that are a part of our bloodline? Again, I'm not going to talk about certain foods because some people might feel attacked. But again, you've encouraged me. From that trip, it's not that I was eating any old kind of way beforehand, but I had a lot of days where I didn't consider per se what I was eating and felt some kind of way about it. But shout out to you because from when we went to New York, I said, yeah, I feel good eating this way. And so therefore, I'm paying a lot more attention. I'm saying, I'm going to Whole Foods and getting certain things to try to change things up. And not everything in Whole Foods is quote unquote healthy either. But just making that change.
I was going to say that one of the big things is you got to do your research. Again, there were so many stores that I was not familiar with, and buying items that I wasn't familiar with buying. So I had to go to all these different stores and see, not only the best price, but who had the best, products. You know what I mean?
Product.
So one place might have had better fruit than another place. One place might have had better produce. One place might have had cheaper prices. So it got kind of taxing, but what I did was I made a list. So I said, hey, Wegmans has this.
Mm-hmm.
So when I need it, I go to Wegmans. Trader Joe's has this. So I know for this, I should go to Trader Joe's. And then I was still able to go to like Food Lion and then Kroger and Walmart, because those regular stores had certain things that were great quality and may have been cheaper. So that's what I did. So you got to do your research, and it may take some time, but you'll get the hang of it. I got the hang of it. I was going to say about New York real quick, and I don't know if I ever told you, but I was worried about the New York trip because, one, I didn't want you to be under any pressure feeling like you had to eat right. And by that time, one of the problems I thought about was I going to be able to, when people say, why you not drinking? Have a drink. Was I going to be able to say no? Was I going to be able to decline? Was I going to be able to decline those brunch invites? That was a big thing. Those happy hour invites, things like that. And I was able to do that. So that's why when I was in New York, I was able to go, and they had the fruit stand right there, and we was able, even our birthday dinner, I still ate, accordingly. So
Go check that birthday dinner out too.
Yeah.
It's on Instagram. It's coming on YouTube soon. But
Yeah.
I think we've cleared the air.
No doubt.
Again, not in any way trying to be offensive to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't eat. Just telling you to be aware of your health. And this is also a part of the Health is Wealth series. Because again, your health, your physical health, means everything to you and your family. Speaking of Health is Wealth, make sure that you go take a look at those episodes, which you can find them on YouTube. You can find them also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. All right? Again, we appreciate your support. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.